Did you see the latest Nintendo newsletter?
Whoa, nice graphics. I'd like to get my hands on that game.
You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System.
Con una moneda y una rocola, pero nada te da un refresco de cola. Vamos a bailar con esa rola, que me enamoré en la fuente de sodas. Ay, nena, dime tu sí, no seas mala, no seas así. Tú me gustas y yo a ti, estás hecha para mí. Shibidibib, shibiduapa, shibidibib, shibiduapa, shibidibib, shibiduapa.
Not so recently in 2012, we had the Sandy Hook shooting. A month after the shooting, President Barack Obama said Congress should fund research on the effects of violent video games have on young minds. We do not benefit from ignorance, we do not benefit from not knowing the science. It's funny that the president asked this question because the effects of violent video games on young minds has actually been studied for quite some time. Dr. Patrick Markey has been studying the effects of violent video games ever since the early 2000s. The majority of gamers think there is no connection between violence and violent video games. However, Dr. Patrick Markey's findings actually suggest that 15 minutes of play will lead to 15 minutes of higher aggression a day for the average person. Playing 15 minutes a day leading to higher aggression was copied and done by many other research laboratories and researchers. They all found the same results. The effects of these video games were short-term. There were no long-term effects from playing 15 minutes of violent video games a day. It's also important to mention that 90% of adolescents play video games. This includes everyone who plays Flappy Bird and everyone who plays Call of Duty on the Xbox. 90% of adolescents have picked up a video game in their life and played it. And with 90% of your entire youth population playing video games, of course incidents like school shootings at Sandy Hook will occur. We have to remember that correlation does not equal causation. We have to remember that not every kid is going to run around the country with their M16 after playing Call of Duty. So to recap, short-term video game play only leads to short-term aggression. There is no long-term effects from video games. And if long-term video game play actually led to violence, you would see way more in today's society with 90% of the population playing video games. I'd also like to debunk the myths of Grand Theft Auto, the game famous for stealing cars and killing hookers. According to some people, I am now an expert on driving fast cars and killing hookers with shotguns. According to that logic, I am also a pro golfer who loves skydiving in his free time. But let's just assume that Grand Theft Auto actually does make me better at killing hookers. Well, that shouldn't make sense at all because teen violence has actually been lower than it has been in 30 years. Whatever we are currently doing to stop teen violence, and it's currently working, taking video games out of the equation will neither benefit them nor hurt them. I myself can advocate that shooting a rifle in real life is not the same as shooting a cop in a video game. They are two entirely different things. As a few final words, I'd like to say that long-term video game violence and play will never lead to real-life violence. Researchers have never found a link, nor will they ever find a link between the two. There is no correlation. And with the rest of my evidence, I think it's very clear that video game violence is just video game violence.